Hi there, welcome to my video on using Meetup as a platform to build your audience. I want to talk about Meetup as a social media platform that is underutilized and share with you an example of how you can use Meetup to build community, reach new people based on different topics of interest, and have fun at the same time. Now, most people, when they talk about social media, talk a lot about like Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok. Meetup runs a little bit differently than all the other platforms that allows you to connect with potential prospects, customers, and build a community either online, offline, or have a hybrid format. What I love about Meetup is that I really love Meetup for two reasons. When I first came to New York City, I knew no one. And so kind of the first thing that came to mind was to join a Meetup group. And so I started typing in keywords such as music, and lo and behold, I found an indie music group because I was obsessed, and still I'm somewhat obsessed with indie music. I found a group that had a show that was coming up, and so I was like, oh, it's a $10 show, can't go wrong. I can meet new people. I need to do something after work besides sit in my apartment and get to know New York City. So what I loved is that I joined this live indie music meetup group, and I started going to shows, and I met the host, who was so friendly and so warm, and we just found we connected so easily because we both were from California and we love music, and we actually went to the same show. So it's fun because you never know who you meet on meetup.com. You never know who you might run into, and just, it's very kind of like past lives. So the cool thing about Meetup is that you can search based on keywords. So let's just say I typed indie music. The group will come up, I'll show you. And so these are kind of events that are coming up, but I can also search by groups because that's really what I'm looking for. So there is a New York City indie music. So it's all about like concerts from, I guess, lots of different places. And there's lots of other, electronic music, musicpreneurs, and, but there's a Brooklyn indie rock meetup. Okay, so my point is that if you type in indie music, you'll find a lot of different groups, and you can even search by like how far it is, because obviously New York is abroad, and so it's very expensive. So maybe you just want to limit it to like Brooklyn, New York, or maybe you want to limit it to Williamsburg or Queens. So you can always go back and refine your search that way. And then you can also filter it by category, health and well-being. So like once you pick a group, let's just take a group as an example, and then I'll show you the group that I run on Meetup, but it's related to coding and getting a job as a coder and developer. And so this is the Brooklyn Indie Films Meetup. So it's not necessarily indie music, but let's just say I want to bring together people who love indie music, people who love independent films and artists and all things like independent culture. So there's two things about this, is that when you set up a group on Meetup, you do have to pay a fee. You pay like, I think, $100. Go to meetup.com to set up your events, and you can also do it on the mobile app. Though the most important thing is that if you're organizing, let's just say you want to build a business around making independent films. And so the whole goal of this group is to study films, to talk about films, to discuss how they're made, get ideas on how you can produce and get funding and resources to make an indie movie in Brooklyn. And then what you could do is set up your group here, the location, and the most important thing is that you have consistent events. Now, the great thing about Meetup is that it used to be primarily in person, but due to COVID, they've adapted and allowed a lot of events to be either online or offline. And you can also do hybrid meetups. So what's cool is that these are old events. I don't think they have anything coming up. And so they don't have anything coming up, but let's just look at their calendar in the past. The most important thing is that all the events are set up in advance. They have a host, they have a description, they have a location, time. Everything is pretty much organized and very clear from the get-go. This makes it easy so that people are aware of where to show up, or offline or online. And then the other neat thing is you can get in touch with the organizer. They have their social media links. So Meetup is one that I think people kind of don't talk about enough, give a lot of credit to, but there's a lot of ways that you can turn these events not only as part of your business, but also to get ideas for market research. So let's just say this is a film event, a film meetup and discussion. And so what you can do is in your description, you can talk about what the event is about. The other great thing that would be helpful if you're only going to use the Meetup versus the Meetup Pro account is that then you can include links to sign up for the email list. You can even, when people RSVP, you can ask them to include their email address. And the most important thing is that you want to be able to grab their contact information so that you're not limited to reaching out to people on Meetup. This is an experience that I had where when I was in our hacker hours and when I first started going to these meetups, I would meet people and I would contact them I would stay in touch with people through the platform, and sometimes people would give me their business cards and whatnot, and I had one specific incident where I started to see the same person, but I would always message them on Meetup because I was kind of like slacking on sending them an email. And so finally, one time when I was running a workshop and I had some technical problems at the last minute, I messaged them on Meetup literally an hour before the workshop, and I said, because I knew they lived close by, I was like, hey, can you come and help me? I'm having some problems technically and I need someone to troubleshoot. And they got my message quickly because they had turned on mobile notifications. But the most important thing was that instance I learned afterwards that I could just email this person ahead of time and say, hey, I'm running an event and I think I might have some technical difficulties, and let them know ahead of time. So that it's just a great way to kind of make communication much easier, much smoother. And in case Meetup, there are times when meetup.com is down, and if that was the case, I wouldn't have been able to have anyone help me that day. So that's why it's really important that while you get started on Meetup, that you always get people's email address so that you can continue to develop the relationship beyond this platform. And then I want to show you how we run it. We do sell events occasionally, but the idea is that we have a strong member base. We've been around for a long time. So with each event, we have this is a great example with this workshop that we recently hosted. This person runs a Docker workshop, and they also run a data engineering bootcamp. And so they can use this as a funnel into their bootcamp. So if you look at the description, this is how we kind of do it in a way that's not super selly. They also have an active funnel. So this is kind of something that they're testing out with our group. So we talk about how Jeff is the founder of Jigsaw Labs. It's a coding bootcamp focused on data engineering. We'll also include a link so that people can learn more about that. And then on the actual workshop at the end, the host will also include a link to his bootcamp so that people can sign up. The point of this example is to show you how you can use Meetup to really reach people, engage your audience, build a community, and sell education workshops, because sometimes teaching workshops in person can be very time consuming, and so it's nice to be able to teach that in an online environment. And then my last point about this is that when you're consistent and you continue to repeat the same workshops and find out what people are interested in, it's a way for people to see the value of what you're delivering. Like he's delivering a free 2-hour workshop on Docker. Not saying you have to do the same thing, but that's just his style. He likes to share and teach these topics related to engineering and being a developer. The point is that you can run a free workshop as a sales funnel into other larger programs like a bootcamp or one-on-one group coaching. This is just one of many different examples that you can use. Now, let's just say we wanted to use our regular meetups as a way to sell a membership for people who wanted to become developers and coders. But what we could do is turn this as a community into a paid membership. So the people that sign up for these free virtual Sunday events are also eligible to sign up for a more premium membership where they can get hourly consults with a developer on their portfolio, on their job search, or they can get more mentorship on their current coding projects. These are all ways that you can sell into other memberships, other programs, other virtual and hybrid events. And then the last thing I want to say is that there's so many different models. So you can use Meetup as one way to not just sell different events and programs, but maybe you want to sell like live experiences. Like Ramit Sethi used to have this big live events, thousands of people. He charged, the main thing was that he would have a live event once a year as a way to bring people together who were students in his course to reflect and to share ideas and to network and build community. So that is why I really emphasize Meetup, because I think a lot of people tend to use Facebook, LinkedIn, or Instagram, or TikTok. And I think Meetup is great based on my own experiences. I've met a lot of great people through Meetup, and I've seen and experienced a lot of great programs through Meetup. That's why I really recommend Meetup as a platform to get started as well. The search feature really allows you to tap into different interests, different categories. Even if you're on the Meetup, if you're not on the Pro, you're just on the regular Meetup instead of Meetup Pro account, there's still ways that you can add links to an email list. And then when you contact members, you can send out a survey, and at each event that you have through Google Forms or Typeforms. And that's just another way to get email addresses if you're not ready to upgrade to Pro. Now, Pro does give you additional advantages, like as you saw, I can have a MailChimp integration and I connect to the API. But if I'm not ready, then Meetup.com. Meetup plan itself works just as fine as a traffic to reach people and to test ideas out for programs and potential courses. I hope that helps give you some ideas and suggestions on how to get started building community online and offline, and most of all, just really connecting with people and building those relationships. Thanks for watching, and I will talk to you soon.